This double bass is by Carlo Giuseppe Arienti, made in Milan, probably 1810 or so. So you see instruments from late 17s up to maybe 1820-ish, maybe a little bit later. And it's very interesting. He's very interesting as a maker because he made in the sort of old Milanese style. So you've got Grancino, which is where it all started. They're beautifully made instruments. You know, he's a very, very fine worker. Then after that, you have the Testori dynasty. So you've got Carlo Giuseppe Testori, then his sons, and then their sons. But they kind of ended about 1780. Then this style of instrument, the sort of flat back, made of pear, walnut ribs, a bit raunchy looking, dark brown varnish. This style of making kind of disappears for sort of 20 years or so. And then you start to have the new Milanese school popping up. So you've got like Landolfi and Baioni and the Rossis, and these all start to go, you know, they start to change in their style. They're a bit more refined. You know, you've got Rivolta as well. They start to be a bit more refined, but sort of slotted in between that, you've got this guy, Arienti, and this is maybe the fifth one that I found now. And super interesting because whilst one school was starting to become more refined, you've got this guy was making the sort of old Testori style, but they're pretty raunchy in their making, which I think is great. I love it. So yeah, I mean, it's a really, really interesting maker that kind of fills a gap in the chronology of these sort of old style Milanese instruments. So, interestingly as well, this sound hole here, you'll actually find a not dissimilar style, certainly on some of the other instruments by Arienti, on Rivolta, actually, which I thought was very interesting. There was obviously some influence there. I would imagine potentially the Arienti family would have worked for the Testoris or in around that. We're kind of researching that, trying to find out that information, but they very clearly were inspired by them and the sort of the way of making. So this particular instrument, so it's unpurfled, which they all seem to be. It's got a pear back. It's beautiful patina on this, lovely. It's got a pear back, walnut ribs, which are lovely, and then it's got a spruce front, fabulous knots everywhere. It's lovely. And we have done a bass bar in it. We've also done a new neck and set it up, a new bridge, soundpost, etc. And it just sounds like a bomb. Absolutely amazing sounding bass. It also plays beautifully, lovely tension under the strings, really even, as you'll see with Tom's playing. The other thing that's quite cool about these basses is the scroll. This one, the scroll itself is very narrow and quite crude the way it's been cut. Now they all seem to be the same, and again you see the shape of the peg box, quite, you know, the sort of shape of it. Again, they all seem to be very much the same, and you can find some of them don't have the fluting down the back of the head as well. So they kind of, it's really like a, you know, very, very closely related to the sort of end of the Testoris, which I think's really cool. They're lovely, lovely instruments. So yeah, if you're looking for a not too big but canon sounding bass, then check this one out.